While Teresa and Nene were pulling in millions per season from Real Housewives, there was someone in that same franchise who was down to their last $100. On TV, these women live in mansions and fly in private jets, but off-screen, they're getting eviction notices and bankruptcy papers.
Well, I'm here to serve an eviction notice. You've been served. Your mom and dad has been served. Thank you very much.
These are the housewives who went from rich and fabulous to flat-out broke. Let's start with the most infamous case of all, Teresa Giudice from Real Housewives of New Jersey. Her money troubles literally landed her in a federal prison.
Teresa Giudice, one of the stars of The Real Housewives of New Jersey, is getting ready to report to federal prison, serving a tag team sentence with her husband for fraud.
Back in 2009, Teresa and her husband, Joe, filed for bankruptcy, claiming they were drowning in bills. But prosecutors later said the couple was hiding assets and lying about their income. By 2013, things exploded. The Giudices were indicted on 39 counts of fraud, including bank fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, and making false statements on loan applications. Joe was even accused of failing to file tax returns for 5 straight years, from 2004 to 2008. The numbers were insane. Millions in loans they weren't entitled to, hidden assets in their bankruptcy, and years of unpaid taxes. In 2014, both Teresa and Joe pleaded guilty. Teresa was sentenced to 15 months in federal prison, though she ended up serving 11. Joe got 41 months, and after his release in 2019, faced possible deportation because he wasn't a U.S. citizen. By 2018, their bankruptcy case was finally dismissed once they repaid most creditors. But they were still on the hook with the IRS and the New Jersey State Treasury. In 2025, Teresa still doesn't seem to have recovered. Just recently, she abruptly ended a Zoom interview when asked about her tax liens totaling over $3 million. Local anchor Larry Potash asked, "How is it that a family doesn't pay their taxes for years? Is that what the fraud charges were?"
How is it that a family doesn't pay their taxes for years?
What family are you talking about?
Your family. Is that what the fraud charges were?
Okay, I'm hanging up. Okay, let's just hang up. That's it.
Oh, she didn't like that question.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wasn't that part of the show?
Potash joked around that she evaded that question like taxes. Teresa's current husband, Luis Reyes, owes over $2.6 million in tax liens, while Teresa herself owes about $303,889.20. To make matters worse, Teresa also went through a huge personal betrayal. She helped Luis pay $3 million in taxes, only to find out he was secretly having an affair, and his mistress publicly flaunted the luxury gifts he gave her on Instagram. Even her daughters repeatedly warned her about trusting Luis, but Teresa's loyalty came first. Throw in her past 20-year marriage to Joe Giudice. They're split in 2020, and both of them serving time in prison for mail, wire, and bankruptcy fraud, and it's clear Teresa's life has been a nonstop roller coaster of financial chaos. But somehow her daughter thinks otherwise.
My mom has been the sole provider for my sisters and I since the minute my father left for prison. The second my mom got home from jail, she has been working her ass off to make sure that my sisters and I live a stable life and that my family is financially stable. I can't stress enough how much my mom has worked. Everything will be resolved. My mom has everything under control and there's nothing to worry about.
Now, after hearing that, you're probably thinking, oh, poor thing. The financial disasters couldn't get any wilder, but you are wrong. Ladies, let me tell you about Sonia Morgan from Real Housewives of New York. In 2010, Sonia shocked fans by filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. She reported $19.8 million in debt against just $13.5 million in assets. Sonia went through a messy divorce, made some poor business decisions, and fell on some bad luck that nearly ruined her financially. Despite earning nearly $500,000 a season for Real Housewives, Sonia nearly went broke in 2011. She revealed she was $20 million in debt when she filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy following her divorce. The reason for her financial collapse was a failed movie deal. Her company, Sonia Productions, had partnered with Hannibal Pictures to make a John Travolta film called Fast Flash to Bang Time. But when the project fell apart, Sonia claimed it was because Travolta had outrageous demands. Sonia had bitterly fought this attempt by Hannibal Pictures, Incorporated, to force the reality star to sell her assets for less than she wanted, but enough to pay creditors. Hannibal sued Sonia and her production company, Sonia Productions, LLC, in 2006, saying that the reality star and her film outfit broke a contract agreement by failing to provide the promised funding for Fast Flash to Bang Time, a John Travolta film that was never made. Hannibal Pictures sued, and the judgment against her came to $7 million, which she said ballooned closer to $9 million with extra fees. To pay it off, Sonia was forced to sell off some of her prized assets, including properties in France and Colorado. But even then, her money troubles didn't stop. By 2017, her bankruptcy attorneys were suing her for $350,000 in unpaid legal fees, while other lawyers tried to collect another $66,000. At one point, she even put her $10 million Upper East Side townhouse on the market, a property that had been part of her Bravo identity. But Sonia wasn't a criminal like Teresa. She just got really unlucky. Sonia's downfall started with a risky business deal, but Kim Richards' downfall was a much more personal spiral. The former child star turned Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast member had a very public struggle with addiction. By 2018,
drunk, you're calling me all kinds of names. And I am an alcoholic, I said that.
California's tax authorities had filed liens, showing Kim owed over $118,000 in unpaid state taxes from 2013 and 2014. But that was just one of her problems. Around the same time, she was hit with a $266,000 court-ordered settlement after a woman claimed Kim's pit bull bit her. Add that to her history of arrests for shoplifting and public intoxication, and it was clear her legal bills were stacking up fast.
Nat, you don't want me that close to you?
To make matters worse, Kim lost her Housewives paycheck when Bravo let her go in 2015, partly because of her ongoing issues. Without steady income, she reportedly leaned heavily on her family for support. Insiders claimed she was living with her sister Kathy Hilton because she couldn't afford a place of her own. One source even said that if it weren't for her family, Kim would have been homeless.
I'm so sick of your crap. Everybody is. Everybody's sick of what you put us through. And here you are again with all your antics again and all this drama.
Kim is a classic example of how quickly reality TV fame can go to shit. Instead of cashing in on her Bravo years, she ended up fighting tax collectors, lawsuits, and her own demons. The next brokey on this list is Alexis Bellino. On Real Housewives of Orange County, Alexis and her husband Jim lived in a massive Newport Beach mansion, but behind all that luxury was a financial nightmare that was about to explode. The Bellinos bought their mansion in 2007 and poured nearly $6 million into renovations to make it their dream home. But by 2010, the dream was gone. They defaulted on their $4.5 million home loan and were slapped with a foreclosure notice. To try to cover themselves, they put the house on the market, starting at $4.99 million. When no buyers came, they kept slashing the price all the way down to $3.6 million. The only problem with that was interest and penalties were piling up, and they still owed more than $4.6 million on the property. On top of that, Jim's business hit trouble. His company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in late 2010. He tried to downplay it, insisting that only the entity holding the property title filed and not them personally, but it was clear the financial stress was real. Eventually, the home was listed as a short sale before the couple managed to renegotiate their loan terms. So yes, for the Bellinos, keeping up the appearance of success came with a very pretty heavy price tag. But it's nothing compared to the next downfall on this list. Yes, I'm talking about your favorite Nene Leakes. Back in December 2008, before her multi-million-dollar contracts, Nene and her husband Greg were evicted from their 5-bedroom home for owing just $6,000 in back rent. At the time, it didn't make sense. How could someone on a hit reality show get tossed out over rent money? Nene later brushed it off as a messy business deal gone wrong with Greg's company. But fast forward to 2016, when Nene was at the height of her fame. She had just wrapped Dancing with the Stars, starred as the evil stepmother in Cinderella on Broadway, and launched a clothing line on the Home Shopping Network. This should have been her financial peak. Instead, the IRS hit her with a massive $824,000 tax lien for unpaid taxes from 2014 alone. If you don't understand what that means, this was the government saying, "Pay up or we'll take your stuff." Most people would panic, but Nene decided to turn it into comedy. She went on Twitter, and you can read the rest yourself. "My priorities are all screwed up. I'm just a damn fool out here about to lose my house. Please start a GoFundMe." Only Nene could owe nearly $1 million and be still acting like this about it. But you know how it goes. The bigger the paycheck, the bigger the tax bill. Not even a very rich could escape the debt. After Nene's tax drama, you'd think the other Atlanta ladies might have learned a lesson, but nope. Kenya Moore found herself in hot water with the IRS too, and the timing couldn't have been worse. In 2018, just weeks before giving birth to her daughter Brooklyn, the IRS hit Kenya with a tax lien for over $150,000. And they didn't just send her a scary letter, they put the lien directly on her house, Moore Manor. So basically, if Kenya ever tried to sell it, the government was first in line to collect before she got a penny. But then it got even messier. There had already been rumors floating around that Kenya wasn't as wealthy as she looked on TV. Back in 2014, Radar Online claimed she was borrowing luxury cars from dealerships just to film scenes, making it seem like she had way more money than she actually did.
Sheree was saying you were talking about me borrowing a car from somebody, which wasn't
Lisa
true.
Ray's Range Rover.
I don't even know Lisa Ray.
Oh, okay. Well, see, that's just what the streets say.
So while Kenya looked all rich and bougie on TV, behind the scenes she was juggling tax debt, rumors about her finances, and a house that some fans even joked looked half-finished. But if Kenya's $150,000 tax bill sounded bad, Danielle Staub's situation was even uglier. In 2012, Danielle filed for Chapter 7 bankruptcy, saying she was nearly $2 million in debt while only bringing in about $63,000 that year. To put it in perspective, that's like trying to patch a sinking yacht with duct tape. It just wasn't going to work. The breakdown of what she owed was brutal. She had more than $111,000 in federal taxes, another $70,000 owed to her town in New Jersey, and even smaller state taxes. But the debts didn't stop there. She had maxed out consumer bills too, like a $7,000 Nordstrom tab, plus smaller balances at places like Gap. Things got even worse when she was accused of hiding assets during the bankruptcy case. To avoid criminal charges, Danielle cut a deal and paid $35,000 back to creditors. By 2014, her $1.9 million bankruptcy was officially discharged, but the tax debt stuck around. If you guys haven't gotten the memo by now, let me explain it to you. Big spending leads to big debt, and that leads to a big crash, one that lands you straight in Brokey Town. But at least Danielle's mess was mostly off-camera. Lynn Curtin, on the other hand, had the kind of financial drama that Bravo could only dream of, because it literally played out on national television for everyone to see. In one of the most infamous moments in Real Housewives of Orange County history, we actually watched eviction papers get served to her at home while the cameras were rolling.
Well, I'm here to serve an eviction notice. You've been served. Your mom and dad has been served. Thank you very much.
Damn. Imagine trying to keep up appearances as a glamorous OC housewife, and the sheriff is at your front door handing you paperwork, and that moment was just the tip of the iceberg. Only has $100 to her name. In 2013, court documents revealed that Lynn had exactly $100 to her name, not $100,000, not even $1,000, a literal single Benjamin Franklin. And the way she broke down her monthly spending was kind of jaw-dropping. According to her, she was surviving on just $515 a month. That covered $150 for dining out, $115 for phone and internet, $50 for laundry, $100 for clothes, and $100 for entertainment. Like, who is pulling off Orange County life on that budget? Lynn launched her cuff bracelet jewelry line on the show, which was supposed to be her big entrepreneurial moment. But instead of saving her finances, it flopped. Partly because, let's be real, a reality TV platform doesn't guarantee sales if the product isn't solid. Lynn said her jewelry business was making her about $250 a month. That's only $3,000 a year. roughly $8,000 below the poverty line back then. At the same time, she owed $30,000 in back taxes from 2009, although she insisted that debt was actually her ex-husband, Frank's problem. Lynn and her then-husband, Frank Curtin, were constantly living way beyond their means. They bounced from one rental to another, often leaving behind unpaid rent and angry landlords. Court documents show multiple eviction filings against them, and at one point, the couple even faced wage garnishment over unpaid debts. But what made Lynn's situation especially raw was how much it affected her family. Fans still remember her daughters, Alexa and Raquel, talking about how unstable things felt, how they'd go from living in a big house with cameras everywhere to suddenly scrambling for a new place to stay. Even after leaving the show, the drama didn't stop. Money issues became a big wedge in her marriage. Lynn accused Frank of hiding their true financial situation from her, which played a major role in their eventual divorce. Lynn Curtin filed for divorce from her husband of 22 years, Frank Curtin, in December. And now, in new court papers relating to the split, the former Real Housewives of Orange County star is reported to have declared she is broke and has only $100 worth in assets. To the outside world, they looked like the typical wealthy Orange County family. But in reality, the bills weren't getting paid. The IRS was after them. And her kids were literally opening eviction papers on national television. What's clear from all these stories is that reality TV money doesn't always mean you're set for life. Even Bethany Frankel, who was already a savvy businesswoman before joining Real Housewives, warned back in 2018. They can't afford the lives they're living, and if the music stops, they're going to get in some trouble. For a lot of these women, the music did stop. Some bounced back and rebuilt their finances, while others are still dealing with the chaos of living way beyond their means during their reality TV glory days. And honestly, that's part of what makes these shows so addictive. Which housewife do you think is secretly about to go broke next?